Hi. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Central Coast Wisdom. And my name is Luki Gomez. I am your host. And I'm again here with Freedom Sunshine because we're going to continue our lovely talks that we've been having. So, are we talking about men this time?
Well, you said they had questions. I'm not sure what they were. Throw me one and I'll see.
Well, somebody did ask about because you had mentioned in the video how you had decided you were going to study men.
Yes.
And then we moved on with the conversation. We didn't go into any major detail. You mentioned one story about one particular person that you were talking to, but you said you did that for a while. How
I
long
did
you did
that.
it for
I
5 years or
actually
something like that?
spent about 5 years circulating amongst men.
How fun!
And first, I realized, see, I was raised with all women. We had a bunch of women in the family. Men would come in, drop babies, and disappear. Okay, so, and that's the truth.
That's very
Um,
typical. I
and
mean, it's not everybody, but it's very
no, where there was
common.
San Francisco people,
Well, it's always
and
been that way.
they had the women had a relationship,
Yes.
but the men. If I look at it now, or even as an adult, when I looked, I went,
Yeah.
they didn't know what they were doing with men. They were all women, but they had no idea who those men were. They had a picture and an image that they
Mm.
had to be married, had to be children,
Yeah.
had to cook dinner and all that,
Yeah.
but they didn't know how to deal with the men's problems.
Yes.
Okay, and I say that lovingly because
Absolutely. Yes.
both sides. So when you start becoming a liberated woman, the
Yeah.
first thing you are is pissed at a man for not doing a better job. And
True.
that's the truth,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, but we
Absolutely.
don't understand them any more than they
Right.
understand us. Now I'm talking in general. I understand there are those that have, you know, flown the coop of that and are much more advanced. But in order to go through the paces, and even sometimes a woman can go through hell and need a man that knows better than her,
Yeah.
and vice versa, as
Yeah.
well as women share. Now, what people don't know a lot about is all the women's groups throughout history and ancient history
Mhm.
where women, okay, went into the temples themselves,
Mhm.
learned medicine,
Mhm.
learned how to help men on a different level,
Mhm.
and they were revered. I can remember clearly one lifetime when I was brought to the temple at 13 and I
Mhm.
became very aware. And I had men come to me for what you would call today readings, but they for
Mhm.
psychic portent. And the reason I remember that lifetime, and it's important to think, this will give women think a little bit different about a man. This story. Okay, so I had different men coming to me, and I had this one man who adored me, and he would come all the time for readings. Well, I started feeling a war coming on and them being attacked.
Mhm.
And there was trouble in the, like we have today with our political who's who's.
Mhm.
And at a certain point, I saw the invasion and I said, go home, lock up all your good stuff,
Mhm.
and be ready for this. Well, they invaded,
Mhm.
and they were pretty brutal, some of them. And he came and got me and took me to his home, which his wife did not like very much, but he put
Mhm.
me in that. Now, and then the story goes on. But the important part of that was that women, that lifetimes I went, women do stuff. They're not just the nuns, okay?
Mhm.
They're on
Mhm.
the road. They educate, they
Mhm.
illuminate, they do
Mhm.
all of that stuff too.
Mhm.
And we keep looking to the men leaders,
Mhm.
to the men leaders. We don't look at that part.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that wasn't hard for me to find,
Right
okay,
on.
truly,
Yeah.
to recognize. And the funny part about it is, I remembered that lifetime when I met that man,
Mhm.
and we had an instant rapport. He was part
Mhm.
of the church, and an instant relationship for
Mhm.
years
Mhm.
because because he had trust in me
Mhm.
and I had trust in him.
Yeah.
And that's what had developed. And that can't happen between men and women unless they kind of get into each other's shoes, so to speak.
And there's kind of change the spaces a little bit and
That's right.
intermingle a little
That's
bit
right.
more. Yeah.
So here from in this particular, since the 60s on, I won't talk about before that, because the 60s is when it happened for me. I began to see that the world was changing, and that even the old time religion wasn't suited to what was actually happening to people. And the guardian that came to me said, there's an open door for a while, and so we're going to expand the thinking, okay? Expand the awareness. Now, here's what people don't think about that they should think about, is we are much more than just our physical bodies.
Yeah.
We are taught that that's the essential, but, and it is for living in this planet, but we have psychic energy, we have the ability to learn great things. Anything we focus on,
Yeah,
we
it's
can get
amazing.
better and better at,
Yeah,
right?
totally. Yeah.
That's how it
Yeah.
works. So you have the tools, but we don't look at the tools. Okay, we look at the program and we run with the program.
It's all brain related, brain related, science related, and it's you believe what you can see,
Right.
right? And
That's
it's
what you're
not
taught to
it's
believe.
not going beyond that because, like for example, in Catholic teachings, you don't get taught any of that stuff. I mean, well, nobody's meditating.
Well,
It's
the whole
not.
job of the Catholic
It's
Church was
not
to make good
happening.
human beings.
I think so. I think that
That's the
initially that
job,
was,
not to know how the universe
and
works.
it did work in many ways. I mean,
It still works.
It works, yeah. And I think that people who need that, it's there, and you can go there
Now,
and get this.
here's the problem that we have run up on. Religion teaches us manners and good behavior
Yes.
and how to come together as groups. The
That's a good
church is a
point.
family, a spiritual
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
Then they get locked into the box of a belief system
Yeah.
that has no room for growing.
Yes. Yes, like
Okay?
you have to behave this way.
Right.
Everybody needs to do the
That's
same
right.
thing.
That's
Nobody
right.
can go out of the norm, like go off the yellow brick road.
Do you know, way
You
back
know?
in the 1970s, we had gays in my church too.
Yeah.
And every year on Valentine's Day, I would invite couples to come in and retake their vows.
Sure.
And the gay guys, I invited them in. You
Yeah.
want to take your vows, you've always wanted to do it, you can do it here and now.
Yeah.
Okay, that was so advanced, but I had already learned that we're all snowflakes, individual. We have more of this and less of this. Also, we have defined what's man and what's woman. And so we don't even know. I know lots of men that practice women traits and are wonderful human beings. And I know women that make great surgeons and doctors and also plumbers and mechanics. So, but
Totally.
we've put boxes around so much stuff because we're afraid of ourselves, not of others, but of ourselves.
Yeah. It's a big deal.
Here's a famous movie. Did anybody who wants to understand what happened in the 60s and what happens to an individual sometimes in life, watch Godspell. Did you ever see Godspell?
I've heard. I think I
Godspell
did.
is the story of people living in New York and different places, and they get a calling.
Yeah.
And they follow the calling, and they become a cult, and they experience things. That's my story. Okay, and it's the story of a lot of people from that time, both men and women. And then at a certain time, the dark side comes and says, shut your mouth, okay, and closes the door, and they have to go all back to their own lives.
Yeah.
That is one of the most magnificent spiritual movies besides
I
Jesus
did
Christ
see it.
Superstar.
Yeah, remember that
I
one too.
advise
I love the
people
music
to
to
watch
that one.
they couldn't have done that unless it was happening to
Now,
them.
so this was a movement. This was a 1960s movement that was going on,
Right.
and everybody was doing it. Women
Right.
and men were
Right.
doing it. I mean, everybody was
That's
involved.
absolutely,
The-
and
the
there was
gender
a lot of
barriers were
sex.
starting to be
There were
broken
people
down.
taking their clothes off.
The women were burning their bras.
Right, because, and this happened to me. I went to a place where I had to sit in nature naked
Mhm.
and meditate under a big tree
Imagine.
to gain some sanity over the experiences that I was having and see the full picture. And
Mm.
anybody can do that if they want to.
Mhm.
And then it began to change me.
Mhm.
Then I didn't see myself as the victim of a kidnapping with my son or anything like that. I saw
Mm.
the state of being that we were trying to transform and
Mm.
work through. And I saw the lifetimes at which were men ruled the male children,
Mhm.
okay, big time. They were there, they were very important to them, not the women, but the men.
Mhm.
And I realized at that point that that male hierarchy
Mhm.
had some things it had to meet too.
Right.
Okay, now I didn't search out real thoroughly until later after I got through all that stuff into a new place, and then
Mhm.
I sat with men. I started with going into the bar where they hang out. I would see guys, and this is how I started conversations. I'd see this massive tattoo running down the arm.
Yeah.
Now this is in the like late 70s, right?
Yeah.
And I'd go, tell me what that tattoo's about. Why do you have that
Mhm.
tattoo? Give a man attention, and
Mhm.
he's happy.
Mhm.
So they'd say, sit down and I'll tell you. But some of those stories were horrific.
Mhm.
And I had to act like they were normal, but they weren't. Guys in Vietnam,
Mm.
what they had to do in those villages,
Mm.
they talked about everything, the dope, the
Mhm.
couple of them, and this is true, killed their own sergeants because the sergeants kept sending them in places to kill men, women, and children. They couldn't take it. They turned around, and that's going on
Wow.
also right now in the war in Ukraine.
Wow.
Okay? Think of all
That's
the.
very
I
intense.
know it is. And I'm not asking you all to pursue it, but I want you to understand that when you see the depth of a man
Mhm.
and what he goes through, those men sometimes wept telling me those stories,
Mhm.
but they told me their stories because their wives didn't want to hear them. They wanted the men to come home, not all of them again,
Mhm.
but generally to come home and just be the father and forget all that. You can't forget that kind of trauma,
No.
okay? There's a big karmic influence that says wrong, bad, and you have to wade through that as a man or a woman.
Mhm.
Um, but the men had been through so much. Now, here's the thing, there's some simple things about this that women should think about. Men also do incredible, wonderful things. I have made it a point for years. When I see a
Totally.
man being a good father, I go up and I just say, I want to tell you, I think you're a great dad.
Great.
I
Yeah.
compliment them. They can make furniture, they can fix things.
Totally.
Thank you very much for having that tool. I don't. I can't even run all these computers
The
efficiently.
hammer's too heavy.
Right. Okay. So I also know, remember this big thing about women having a bad boy. Okay?
Oh yeah.
When you get a bad boy, what you get is a 10 of testosterone
Yeah.
that can play lovey-dovey for 15 minutes and knock your head off the next 5 minutes, okay?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
I lost my thought with that. I remembered a slap once. Although when I got slapped by my first husband, I stood up immediately and I said, you ever lay a hand on me again,
Mhm.
I am out of here and I will take those 3 boys and you will never see me again. And you know what? He never touched me again.
Yeah.
We don't stand up for those things. We let it get so bad
Yeah.
and so lost in it. We're waiting for the male savior to come in and fix it.
Well, being a strong woman, speaking of strength of character, which for a woman, we're not really taught to be strong either
No, we're
in
supposed
in
to be
in
dumb.
in our character. And when you are a strong woman, and then they think of you as aggressive, assertive, has issues.
Well, some of it is
you
also
know
true, okay?
I
They
understand
don't
that.
know how.
They just don't know how to deal
I
with
get respect out of good men.
yeah.
Bad men would like to own me and put me down.
Yeah.
And when they go into that space, they're not ready for me.
Right.
Okay?
Right. No,
So,
for sure.
that,
And I think that that's what's creating a lot of uh, situations where people are just we're not coming together like the sexes, men. we're not
well,
we're not coming together. There's like this whole study on how young people are having less sex than ever before.
Well, here's the thing people
Intimacy,
don't realize. The wheel turns, okay?
True.
The universal wheel turns. And even in your personal life, if you're on a small wheel, you go to the top, you learn something, something wonderful happens, you drop
And
down to the lower part of yourself,
yeah,
maybe in 10 minutes or 5 years, and then
depends.
you work that part
Yeah,
up. That's evolution itself.
totally.
And it's happening. Now, I can tell you certain points when the guys came back from those wars, not World War II because it was different,
Yeah.
but when we started making wars to keep the, as the men
The
said to me,
Korean and Vietnam War mostly. That's our
no, Vietnam
generation.
too.
Yeah.
Vietnam, the whole thing about Vietnam, it was a stupid war, but a lot of the guys told me, all we were doing is keeping the passages open so we could bring the dope in.
Jeez.
Okay, and I went, what?
That was what, so that's what that war was about, you know?
Well, I won't say the whole war was,
Crazy.
but part of it was, a lot of it was fought while being stoned. And when they came home, their brains were scrambled because of the things that they had done, and I'm not saying that about pot, I'm saying that about war, okay? Because pot's like having a beer, and you can drink too
No,
much,
no, for sure. No, I
it's
mean,
a
like,
different world.
yeah.
But there's a lot about men that women haven't thought of, even
Mhm.
thought of,
Mhm.
okay?
Mhm.
Like, a man has the same depth inside,
Mhm.
and it might be covered up by a lot of crap,
Yeah.
crap, and I call it crap. If you want to make war, if you got to shoot your gun,
Mhm.
now if you want to make furniture and, be devotional to the good in life, you're a different man. But we don't pay attention to those men too much. We're busy looking at the other ones,
The
and
other.
that's the bad habit that says we're still there.
Yeah.
We still want to be worshipped and adored.
Yeah.
We're not thinking about how do I help this in a good
Mhm.
way,
Mhm.
okay?
Interesting.
When I sat with those men, it was for a starting line, it was pretty abrupt for me, okay?
Yeah.
And I was in Florida, in a Gulf town in Florida, and there was just me and my kid to take care of. So I had to also be watchful and be careful.
Mhm.
I had to take care of that stuff,
Mhm.
um, so, which matured me a lot really fast as far as being grounded. Keep your feet on the ground,
Totally. Be aware of
make
your
a living,
surroundings,
take
what's
care of
going
your
around you.
kids,
Yeah.
right? And and I
Totally.
met other women there who told me their stories. Like, and I'm just going to give you a couple. Like, a woman from Wall Street. When she was on Wall Street for 11 years, she left and came back to her small hometown. She said, I couldn't take the cocaine up there. Those guys live on cocaine, and they have us running, getting dry cleaning, all that. That was her experience.
Wow.
But her
It's like, man.
her boss called her over and over because he didn't know how to run his company. She had run it
Wow.
while they were partying. Now,
Well,
this is a small, just, I'm throwing pieces in
once a,
because I
once a
want them.
housekeeper, you can organize anything. The,
That's right.
the maid can organizes everything.
She
She can go in there and do
she
anything.
wanted to go and have a simple life, be married and be happy
Yeah.
and not play on that turf
Yeah,
anymore.
for sure.
But she went there young because New York was the
Oh
place to
yeah.
go,
Yeah.
and partied out with them, but she also got sick of it.
Yeah.
And men
Easy.
think they have to participate in all of that stuff. It's manly to do it,
Yeah.
okay? And
Wow.
some of them use religion or something else to keep away from it. Most, I'm going to say this, most wonderful, mature men have gone through the road, followed the yellow brick road, know what's there, and can see it just like we can see our stuff with other women. They
Mhm.
can see it.
Mhm.
Some of them are even in there helping,
Mhm.
okay, and walking along that edge.
There's a lot of wisdom in men, I think, you know.
Oh,
I
yes.
that's one thing that I've learned over the years about men, that not only are they very intelligent, but they're very wise because they can see things beyond what we're able to see
Well,
because
because we don't
it's
look
a
either.
different
We look at them to see how it is.
I know, but as a man, you know, being a man, being in that your experience of the world is going to be different.
That's right.
And so there's other things that you're going to see that maybe for us women, as women, we might not always be able to see it or realize that it's even there or have any consciousness of it
Right.
for
And
that,
and we do, when we love them, we want to be loved. When we love them, the next step is to be nurturing and caring for them in a
Exactly.
different way,
Exactly.
in the way that they have needs, seeing when they're off the wall. How do I bring this one, help this one walk this way?
Yeah,
You know.
totally.
And one of the things I thought that the movie Godspell did was it showed that on a whole bunch of different levels, how you um, all the different parts of you come up, and you're looking at their different parts, and then you go away and you've changed because you've expanded your being to embrace other things.
Awesome.
And that's important.
On that note, we're going to take a break because I got to load these anyway, so let's go. Hi, everybody. We finished the video with the second video with Sonshine Freedom. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough juice on my phone to continue the session, so I had to stop it. But still, I feel that it was a really great session, that there was a lot of stuff that we got to do, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I just wanted to reiterate what she was talking about, the movie Godspell, and how that was what was going on for her when she was a young woman in San Francisco in the Bay Area. So I saw that movie a long time ago, but I couldn't remember. But it's compared a lot to Jesus Christ Superstar, which I did see that movie. It is also a musical, but it is a very interesting take on the life of Jesus. And if you get a chance to watch that movie, Godspell, I think it came out in 1967. You should watch it. It's very, very different perspective. One of the reviews that I saw about that movie was that the main character, Jesus, he did not have he did not have the image of the typical Jesus. For example, if you watch the Jesus in Jesus Christ Superstar, that Jesus is, I would say, maybe not very interesting, in the sense that his character is not fully developed. The characters around him are developed, but Jesus, we never really get to a deep insight of what he's feeling and who he is. That was one of the reviews that I heard. While the Jesus in Godspell is more a modern Jesus, and it's kind of like a parody, I think you could say, because the Jesus in Godspell is a clown, and I think it's based on the book of St. Luke. So I just found it way more interesting, and I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I wanted to just highly recommend you guys to watch it, okay? And maybe we can do a little, review or a little talk on that movie specifically with Sonshine Freedom at some point if she wants. We are having one more session with Sonshine Freedom. We could probably have some more with her if she wants. She's got so much to share and so much to talk about. Again, if you do have any questions about this video, please, drop us a line. This video was focused on her experience with men, some of her conclusions of her experience with men. She studied men for a while, and she's got some really interesting perspectives. So if you have any questions on that, please link them down there below in the comment section, and I'll pass them on to Sonny so that she can, perhaps we can, well, we can for sure talk about your question in the next video. Okay, guys, take it easy. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Goodbye for now.